This video is sponsored by Lost in Cult. Silent Hill 2 is one of the most prominent titles in the world of survival horror, and a worthy successor to its PlayStation 1 predecessor. We visit the eerie, fog-ridden town of Silent Hill once again, this time following the protagonist James Sunderland after he receives a letter from his dead wife Mary, telling him to find her there. Through his journey we meet an unforgettable cast of characters, each with their own unsettling yet fascinating quirks. His story ends in a total of 6 possible scenarios, 3 of which are only available in New Game Plus, and feature 2 joke endings. But there's a much less discussed sub-story in the director's cut version of Silent Hill 2, named Born from a Wish. I didn't even know this sub-scenario existed up until a few months ago, and while I had noticed it before when choosing to start a new game in Silent Hill 2, I just brushed it off since I never heard about it. But once I discovered my favourite character in the main story is playable, I decided to give it a shot, albeit with low expectations. Yet once I completed it, I was so impressed by the content of the short but impactful side campaign. It answers some questions about the nature of Silent Hill, while also remaining ambiguous in a lot of ways, leaving things up to the player's interpretation. It's unlike any other experience in the Silent Hill series, following a being who isn't technically a real person, but gives this enigma of the main campaign a layer of humanity and understanding, while also giving us a glimpse into a unique building situated in this cursed town. The sub-scenario begins with Maria in a back room of Heaven's Night, where she presumably works. Her behaviour here isn't like what we see of her in the main campaign, where she exhibits confidence and loud instability. Instead, she's contemplative and afraid, debating on what she should do next after waking up alone in the town, save for its monsters. As she holds her revolver, she talks about fighting to survive, but also how she has no reason to live, then flicks back to expressing her fear of pain and death. Most of all, she wants to find someone else in Silent Hill, and so we gain control of her character. Once you walk down the staircase in front of Heaven's Night, you're thrown into the foggy streets with walking nightmares to find your own way. Your freedom of choice is somewhat a farce, as ultimately the roads and dead ends will lead you to a door on Munson Street. Through here you'll be greeted by 2 enemies, as well as a dead body on the floor whose face is left unrecognisable. But as I stood on the porch of this building entrance, I could have never predicted what I'd see next. Once I entered the building, I was immediately presented with a high-up camera view from the balcony of the main hall, accompanied by a webbed chandelier in the background, giving the impression Maria is being watched. As I made my way through the mansion, it really felt more like something from Resident Evil than the Silent Hill series. Before playing Born from a Wish, I expected the typical overwhelming grit, filth, and rust that we see in the series, but instead I admired the floral curtains and rugs, the surprisingly clean wallpapers and floors with cabinets decorated with plates, books, and picture frames. There's so much detail in every room, from the surprisingly comfy looking lounge to the corridors with their patterned wallpapers and soft carpets. There's so much beauty in these places that it shocked me this could exist in Silent Hill. There was a certain tranquility to the rooms of the Baldwin mansion, my favourite being the kids' room. Its walls and ceilings are painted blue, with white clouds dotted across the boxy sky. The walls are lovingly adorned with pictures drawn by a child, and numerous toys and plushies sit amongst the room's shelves and furniture. On top of the bed lay adorable patterned textiles, and the frame itself even has floral detailing. The room is so peaceful, so inviting, so innocent in the context of Silent Hill's horrors. Despite its charms, there was a lot that felt wrong about the mansion. There are weirdly long staircases and hallways, and exhausting stretches of windowless walls. There are numerous doors with broken locks, sealing off pretty much most of the building. Just looking at the floor plan is a sure sign that the architect was absolutely unhinged. But when did any of the structures and layouts in Silent Hill make sense? It's like a surreal nightmare that you don't question while you're in the midst of it, but upon closer inspection, the false reality of it begins to crumble. It feels metaphorical rather than literal, which especially holds true when Maria climbs up a ladder inside the living room fireplace to reveal an enclosed garden. Stepping into this area felt like a breath of fresh air, because I never expected to see such an environment in this game series. Its foliage covers every surface, home only to a lone gravestone. The strange architecture and item placements of Born from a Wish are like a peculiar dream, one that sticks with you for a long, long time. There is an individual that Maria comes across during her sub-scenario, a man called Ernest Baldwin. She never sees him though, and only hears his voice from behind a door. He's not particularly friendly either, and is the complete opposite to her in that he wants to be left alone. During her time in the mansion, Maria stumbles across the attic, finding a letter addressed from Amy Baldwin to her father. On the way out, you hear a voice of a young girl that asks you to give the letter to him.
Give it to my daddy.
When Maria confronts Ernest with this, it's uncovered that he is Amy's father, and that she passed away in an accident where she fell from the attic window 10 years ago. Ernest opens up and shares the pain of his daughter's passing, then is rather vague with the rest of his dialogue towards Maria, before asking her to retrieve a bottle of white liquid from the apartments next door, saying he is unable to get it himself. This substance is one of the items needed for the rebirth ritual, and it seems Ernest was attempting to resurrect his daughter before only getting so far. After a little trip to Blue Creek Apartments, Maria brings back what Ernest asked for. He thanks her and goes on a tangent about gods and the town, most notably telling Maria she was born in this town, and asks if she believes in fate, to which she replies no. When she asks Ernest if she can open the door, he says it's a dead end, and there's nothing beyond here. Thinking back to it, Ernest was able to open the stairway door for Maria to reach the apartments, even though he's in the study, somehow manipulating the building through some magical force. The outside of the mansion is graffitied with the words, "Keep out of haunted mansion," and whether that refers to Amy, Ernest, or both of them is unclear. When Maria opens the door in the study, all she sees is a table with his gift and letter from Amy. The camera lingers on the emptiness of the room, hovering on certain shots as if there is a presence. Overall, the clues seem to point to Ernest being a ghost, whether figuratively or literally. He seems to disappear after his final conversation with Maria, and so she leaves to roam the foggy streets once again. It feels as though she helped Ernest reach a resolution, as if helping a ghost pass on from what troubles them. In a lot of ways, she then goes on to do the same for James, bringing him clarity in the end too. Born from a Wish tells us so much about Maria's origins and her character, while also leaving a lot up to interpretation in true Silent Hill fashion. One of the first key moments is when she hesitates before saying her name for the first time, either because she can't quite remember, or because she knows she is born from Mary but doesn't want to admit this yet. Nevertheless, her name is an appropriate choice, given that Maria is a derivative of Mary. Funnily enough, even the development of Maria involves some mirroring of real people. Her signature outfit is almost a carbon copy of Christina Aguilera's outfit from the 1999 Teen Choice Awards. She is built in the image of someone else from developments to her in-game existence, whether intentionally or not. Maria's memories seem to settle in over time during the course of the sub-scenario. For example, she briefly remembers Laura, a girl Mary knew and cares about, when examining a toy in Amy's bedroom, but then is confused by who this Laura person is. She doesn't understand these flickers of the past that invade her thoughts. During Maria and Ernest's final conversation, there's a certain part which stuck out to me, and that's when she questions him on what he would have said if she agreed to believing in fate.
So, what if I had said I believed in fate?
That James, he's a bad man.
James...
Ernest suggests that James is Maria's fate, responding immediately by mentioning him after her question. Upon hearing his name for the first time, she wanders her mind for memories, finally remembering, although she keeps it ambiguous as to exactly what she uncovers. Ernest admits he knows something, and is about to tell Maria who or what she is, before she hurriedly cuts him off, clearly not ready to accept the truth. The theme of ghosts comes up a few times in Maria's narrative, both through Ernest or her dialogue with James.
I don't look like a, ghost, do I?
She's not real in the same sense as the other people we see in the town, despite her trying to convince James and maybe even herself that she is.
See? I'm real.
Despite their striking similarities, Mary wears a more conservative outfit than Maria, with long sleeves and mid-length skirt, and her hair in a simple ponytail. Maria, on the other hand, wears a cropped button-up. Her colour palette's a lot bolder and brighter than Mary's, with her red top and neon pink leopard print. Her hair is worn down, and is blonde with pink dip-dyed ends. Character designer Takayoshi Sato explains her hair is bleached. It makes me wonder if James wanted a more sexually outgoing version of Mary and manifested that through her appearance. Or if Maria wanted to distance herself from Mary and be her own person. Maybe both. Either way, the women aren't exactly the same person, as even Ernest describes Mary to Maria as the you that isn't you. How much of Maria is simply an object of James's desire, the will of the town, or a clone of Mary? We know she's not just built solely off of Mary's memories that James is personally aware of, since he doesn't know who Laura is, yet Maria does. So this subtle detail gives her a little more meaning than that. Even in some of the endings of the main campaign, Mary remarks in her final letter how she feels pathetic and ugly. So perhaps Mary also wished she was more akin to somebody like Maria, just as James longed for somebody like her to soothe his pain too. Often the only point I hear when it comes to her is that she was created from James's yearnings, but Born from a Wish gives us a greater insight into her character. In this, Maria doesn't only exist to torment or complete James. She has her own fears, cares, and actions outside of her feelings towards him, even though they waver and disintegrate into the core emotions and memories of Mary. Eventually, her anger, love, and attachment towards James take over, at times becoming jealous that he is searching for the original Mary and not her, like outbursts similar to what Mary describes during her final letter, as she would lash out from frustration of her sickness. My favourite part of Maria's story is the ending from Born from a Wish, as she struggles to understand the meaning of her existence. If not for James, then what? She holds her revolver in her hands, slowly lifting it to her head. She waits for a moment, then pulls it back down and throws it over the wall next to her. That moment we saw at the start of her story, holding the gun forward to fight and survive, is discarded. Maria submits to her fate. She doesn't just throw away her revolver, she throws away her willingness to resist against the reason for her existence, and gives up her own agency. She succumbs to fulfilling her role as the tool for James's realization, redemption, and/or demise. James, and by extension the player, has the freedom of choice now, not her, and so we can no longer play as Maria. The story of Born from a Wish is a tragedy. This sub-scenario I once cared nothing for became my favourite experience within Silent Hill 2. It simultaneously answered and brought up questions surrounding Maria, and how the psychological horrors of the town work. It completely subverted my expectations for this character, and even Silent Hill as a game, presenting me with environments I'd never thought could fit into the atmosphere of the series. The true brilliance of Silent Hill is its strength of emotions and ambience, as well as the ambiguity of its subject matter. Born from a Wish is the epitome of this, and my decision to finally play it was one of the best choices I've ever made.
Mary?
My name is Maria.
Now for a word from today's sponsor. Lost in Cult are best known for their gaming journal Lock On, which is filled to the brim with wonderful art and writing on video games. I've had the pleasure of writing for them in the past, and the latest piece of mine in Volume 4 is one I wrote on From Software's PlayStation 2 survival horror Kuon. Lost in Cult's latest project is Designworks, a series that focuses on a single indie game. They currently have pre-orders open for their book on Sable, which charts the development of the game from early concept to launch and beyond, while highlighting the incredible artistry that lies behind this remarkable indie title. This high-quality book uses the very best materials, and is printed locally and ethically in the UK in limited numbers, with shipping taking place in the second quarter of 2023. There are 2 editions you can purchase, softcover and deluxe, with the deluxe edition and sign prints being available to pre-order only until the 23rd of November. One of the many features of the deluxe edition is a collection of 3 unique cutout architectural models, so you can get hands-on with the incredible architecture of Sable's world. Among other extras, you will also receive a film cell style bookmark, A5 concept sketches, and a folding A3 map. Sable is one of my favourite games from last year, so a project like this is right up my alley. I love collecting art books for games with unique aesthetics, and it's great to see that Designworks packs in interviews, insights into development, and plenty of commentary along with the artwork. If you'd like to pre-order the book, or are interested in any other of Lost in Cult's projects, you can visit the link in the description. I've also been given a discount code that anyone watching can use, so enter code EuroThug4 at checkout for 10% off Sable Designworks, as well as any art prints or other products. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you have a good one.